All right. Here we go. I think our mic's working, hopefully. Hey, Harmony Buck fans, you know who this is. Scott Yatu with the one and only Scott Harmon. We're going to do a little video interview because he's heading out. It makes it really sad. But also some of your former players had basically begged me to interview and get a little one-on-one. They sure did.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate it.
You know one of them for sure is your boy from Pawnee. Came in when you first came here. Right?
Scotty Carroll.
That's right.
He's a great kid. You know, he came in 2007. When I first got here, he was waiting on me at the weight room when we came to report for summer workouts. And then he said, I'm moving over here, Coach Harmon. And it meant a lot to me that he felt so strongly about that he chose to move over.
Well, you know, he at that time, man, he was a heck of an athlete. And I remember watching him and thinking, man, that kid had a lot of guts and a lot of heart. And he had a few injuries, if I remember right. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but it seems like he fought through a couple there. But he played well for you guys, and tough kid.
Saved our bacon a little bit. You know what I mean?
I didn't want to say that, Coach, but that's kind of what I was getting at. But yeah.
No, Scotty's a great kid. You can tell by what he's doing to this day. Very successful in the business industry, working with Joseph Joseph Jones and one of our other kids in that group. But Scotty Carroll came over, and what I remember about him is when we would run sprints, he never got beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After end of the practice, after everything was said and done, after everybody was working hard and we're conditioning, nobody beat Scotty Carroll in the sprint.
He had that competitive
attitude. It was just and he was going to prove to the Harmony Bucks that he was very deserving to be over here, and he wanted to be over here.
Well, Coach, to me, that's part of being a Harmony Buck. We've got a tradition here that a lot of schools should and do envy, and that is kids here, they know, they've got a little bit up, like playing football. Even on your down years, Harmony's going to be better than some other place on the down year because we've got that tradition. And he fit right into that in my mind. He came in here, worked hard, and was hard-nosed, and was definitely a buck at that point.
He set the example, you know what I mean? And then he jumped in there and was willing to sacrifice. You know, he was selfless. He was a team player.
He's got a great first name.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? But Scotty's one of those kids. He's writing a book about his life and his journey, and he sent me the he sent me the first 6 or 7 chapters of his book, and he's just a special kid. One of those kids that really you don't understand what it meant to him until he gets later on, and then he's one of those kids that you'd like to bring in back. Like I would bring in Scott to talk to my kids at Ponca City tomorrow.
If he was a coach, you'd want him on the staff.
You're exactly right. He's a great kid.
Now, I remember when you came in, the first person that told me was old Tex Bailey. I was excited. He told me, he said, guess what? I got a little secret to tell you. I said, what's that? So, Scotty's going to be coaching. What do you think about that? And I thought, we'll keep the cuss with that, but I was excited. All right, my quarterback coaching my old team, that was definitely something I'm excited about. And I knew that you would be good for this program. So the success you had at Pawnee anyway, and then coming here and the success that you had as a player, and I had the privilege to get to play with you. I mean, to me, you're still, not just because you're on my team, but you're the most fun quarterback that I've ever seen play here. And that ain't nothing against the other great quarterbacks that have been here, but it was a pleasure to play with you.
I enjoyed it. It was fun for me, and Tex is like a second dad to me.
I love Tex.
What I mean? He's a great guy. There's nobody better than Tex. He's the Harmony guy. He had a lot to do with me coming in as a head coach, and he was very supportive. And that's one of the things I love the most about our new head coach, Caleb Christian, is that he's his grandson-in-law. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just special to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hits me right here in the heart, and so that means a lot to me. And we shared a lot of special moments, just like when we beat Pawnee in the first round in a big ball game, and then we go to Tallahena, and I remember specifically a picture of Caleb, Tex, and I having a celebratory moment, and it meant a lot to me. You know what I mean?
Tex is a good cat. And I remember years ago, of course, my dad and Tex at the cafe would go a little
the
back
coffee crew,
yeah, the coffee crew, a little bit of that bedlam stuff would go on, but I remember how excited Tex was that you were going to be an Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Yeah, Tex had a lot to do with that. And to be honest with you, his brother Emil was over at Cleveland, and he was kind of recruiting me, taking me to some OU things.
I was going to say, he's an OU.
Yeah, and Tex was taking me to some OSU things, and it ended up where I went to OSU, and Texas is, I mean, he's just, I can't say good enough things about old Texas.
Now, we got to talk about you, Coach. It's all about you.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right.
Now, I got to say, when you came here, and I assume that your expectations were to get that state ring at Harmon, right?
To be honest with you, when I came in, the expectations were down a little bit. They didn't think they were going to be very good for 3 or 4 years. Coach Hull, who I really love and admire a lot, and I miss a lot, had a lot to do with bringing me in, and it wasn't the most popular decision at that time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So when I came in, I remember Scotty Carroll coming in. I remember, Joseph Jones. I remember Stetson Davis and some of those kids that were kind of on the bubble jumping in and joining in. Corbin DeWitt, who was our quarterback, and is in Ponca City now, to be honest with you. Yeah. So I remember that group of kids and the commitment they had, and we made it to the semifinals, and we probably shouldn't have. We overachieved. We beat the number 1 team in the state in an overtime game out here in the quarterfinals, Rush Springs, and it was one.
So was at that game?
Yeah, it was one of the most exciting times of my career, and I just can't tell those kids how much I appreciate that time and the effort and the commitment they showed to our program.
Now, having your dad coach me and then seeing you come here, for people that are my age or that have been coached by your dad and that know you personally, to me that said a lot, because that really brought in the family aspect of Buck Pryor, being homie Buck. And, for you, I can only imagine what that's like, having your dad being involved in the first state championship here and you getting one yourself. That's got to be an incredible feeling. What's that like for you?
It was a lifetime goal. I'm not gonna, kid you one bit. When I took the job here, there were some people in town. Mr. Owens, Daniel Owens, had a big part to do with that. And he said we got a group in the 3rd grade, and at that time,
state champion quarterback himself.
Yeah, exactly. And you're thinking, well, that's 10 years down the road, but he had a vision, and I think he knew that I was probably the best person to kind of get the best out of that group, and things worked out well. The Wilson kid came back, and he left for a little while, came back to be part of that
Coach,
group.
it broke my heart when they left. I was like,
man, come on.
Yeah, everybody was waiting on that class too, obviously.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a great situation. We went through some ups and downs. We went through some hard times. I remember Zayvon Collins, as a freshman, coming over to me at a game in Morrison when he was a freshman, and he was physically crying, and he told me he was sorry. And I said, Zayvon, you don't have to be sorry. You know what I mean? And
That's how much he loved his country.
Yeah, 3 years later, he's kind of the big wig, going to a state championship, leading us to a state championship. So it meant a lot to me. It will always have a place in my heart that can never be replaced, and it was a lifetime goal that we achieved together, and it's a special moment that can never be replaced.
Well, I just think it's awesome that your dad was involved in state championship, and of course you talked about somebody that you love dearly, and I care about a lot too. He's a wonderful person, Coach D.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, not only are you in line with your dad, but Coach D too.
Well, and I owe Coach D a lot. Coach D was like a second dad to me. We didn't get it done. You and I, we were on the state.
We were screwed. I'll always say that. That's going to be on my headstone, folks.
We were the number 1 rated team, and we just didn't get it done. So there's no excuses for that. I kind of feel a bigger responsibility for that than anybody because I was kind of the quarterback on that team. But as a coach, I came back, and when I got the job, I told Coach D, I said, Coach D, we got a good group, and he's like, Scotty, you just come in there and do your thing, and you're going to be all right. And I always, when I have tough times and I need somebody to talk to, it was either Coach D or Coach Hull that I always referred back to. Coach Hull's now gone, and that's a big loss, and that'll always be a part of my heart. but Coach D's still around, and he's special to me. You know what I mean? He's like my second dad. He kind of walked out on the line for me, spoke up for me, helped me get a college scholarship, and kind of for the people that were on the fence about taking a 5'8" kid, white kid that wasn't just particularly fast, but could have some abilities, and to go and do the things that I was able to do in college. I owe a lot to Coach.
Scotty, you had more ball awareness than probably any other player I've seen play. In playing defensive back, when you played safety, right?
Yes.
And you had more ball awareness than anyone I've ever seen play defense, at least here now. And so there was no doubt in my mind that you wouldn't succeed at the next level, and I'm sure everyone around here as well thought the same thing.
Well, when you're 5'8" and you're 165 pounds and you're stuffing 10-pound weights in your girdle, but when you go to camps to say you're 178 pounds instead of 168 pounds, and you know you're really working hard. Coach D worked hard with me on my speed, and you know, a lot
great
of time,
speed coach, by the way.
Yes, awesome. And the thing was, you know, they took a chance on me because it wasn't a done deal. But when I got up there and we were able to, they kind of saw the success that they had with me in the back end there. I really appreciated what Coach D did for me, and you don't really realize that till you get out of school. And you kind of look back at things, and he kind of stuck his neck out for a kid that may not have deserved it too much.
Well, how do you feel that you're that guy now?
I try to do the same thing for those kids. You know what I mean? I model myself after Coach Hull, after Dad, after Coach Edwards, after Coach Daniels. I feel that's part of my duty to these kids as a Homley's football coach. And it nothing that makes me prouder than to have a young man like Coach Christian, who was one of my kids when I first got here, and Coach Vance Miller deserves a lot of that credit too. But we've got a young guy in here now that has motivated me to kind of renew my coaching career because of I see him doing some special things. You know what I mean? And so that's special to me that it pays it forward a little bit. And Coach Christian, he's motivated me, to get back into it.
I'm impressed with Coach Christian. When he took over, I think he's done an excellent job. I'm really, as a lifelong fan and an ex-player and all that stuff, I'm very happy where the team is at and what he's done with them. So that's a good thing. And that's all part of that coaching tree. You're part of his coaching tree, and the tree before you was just an amazing line of coaches. I mean, we think about Hall of Fame coaches. Man, they're all over this guy. And I expect you to be in there too.
Well, I hope to be honest with you, I never thought about that, to be honest with you. And then once you get a little bit older and you kind of get out of it for a couple of years, then you see some of the guys that you've beat in head-to-head matches, and that you've got more wins and you got more state championships in, and they're getting their names and they're being Hall of Fame coaches. You're thinking, hey, I might have a chance to get in there. You know what I mean? And kind of following your dad's footsteps. So that. And Coach D's footsteps, Coach Hull's footsteps, Coach Ballard's footsteps, Coach Doblin's footsteps. You know what I mean? All these good, great coaches, Coach Edwards, that will soon be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt. That means a lot to me that I'm even being mentioned in those guys' names.
Well, without a doubt, you deserve to be there. And I'm particularly proud that you've done so well and happy with what you've done. Now, if you were going to give like one major point of advice to like a guy that wanted to become a coach, like say one of your players, like, just for instance, this is purely hypothetical, but say Xavier said, I want to get in coaching stuff. What would be your number one piece of advice?
Get into a spot where they appreciate what you do. You know what I mean? It's not always, I'm very fortunate to have been able to be a coach at Harmon High School. They have a great football tradition. There's been a lot of people that have been involved in that, and it's an honor to me to kind of be in the row of coaches that have contributed to our success. Just like I told, I've got a letter from Coach Christian that he wrote me when he got out of high school that he was going to be a coach, and I was the reason because of that. And so I appreciate things like that. And he's motivated me. He motivates these kids. he's what we're looking for. So it makes me feel good that I'm not only that after I leave Hominy that we've won a state championship and been very competitive for the 10 years I was the head coach there, but also the fact that I'm leaving the program in a better place than when I got here.
Yeah, you definitely passed the torch in a very spectacular, well done manner. Now, as far as like your tenure here at Hominy and thinking back on all your players and some of this, I like to ask, like I've asked Coach Ballard and Coach against stuff. You know, in all those years, and I know it'd be hard to pick anyone, but I always like to throw some of these things at you now. As far as like slobber knockers or some guys that are just real animals or physical on the field, but some of the guys that may have surprised you how good they are and just really turn it on, or just you like that was one of my guys that year that really did a lot to lift the team and was the BMOC, so to speak.
Yeah, there's been several. Like when Scotty Carroll came in, he only had 1 year here. He had a great year of success, but we made it to the semis. You have to throw Corbin DeWitt in there because he was kind of the leader of that team, and people didn't really think he could do that. He was capable of that, but just the great leadership ability that he showed. The next year, a young man, Daniel Owens, young man, second son, he did a great job as the quarterback. He was extremely accurate. Derek Owens was his name. I kind of, get it.
I played in an alumni game, I believe, with him. He quarterbacked one of our alumni teams.
Yeah.
And I'm old and crusty,
yeah.
and he was still fresh, but I was impressed with his.
Derek couldn't run out of sight in a day. And I love you, Derek, but you couldn't run out of sight in a day, but he was the most accurate quarterback we ever had throwing the football. Yeah. And so we had to kind of change our philosophy for Derek to kind of, and we did a great job. And Caleb was one of the main receivers. Chase Fairweather was one of those receivers in that group that really helped us out there. And then
Chase, he played one of those alumni games and just tore Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean he's those were great high school football players. They go and they went on to do some things tried things at college and weren't just great college football players, but really really good high school football players that you'd take in a minute. So. Until we got to high school, to this group that won it in 16, and I was told when I got here, they were third graders when I got here, and I was like, man, that's a long time to kind of wait for a group, but I was patient. I was patient enough, and then when we got those kids, even as freshmen, got to really respect what Tanner McElroy did, what Zayvon Collins did, what Sergio Mendez did. Colton Reed really stepped up in his final year. So all those kids, I'm probably forgetting some people, and I'm sorry if I do, but those kids really meant a lot to the program and really kind of stepped up when it was really crucial. So I appreciate those kids.
Well, I firmly believe that your team reflects your coach's attitude, your coach's essence or whatever. And all those boys, I think, carried themselves very well. And they took football very seriously, and they played it in a manner that was probably at a loss of words here, but they were tough. They were tough and take no crap kind of attitude and got her done.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we had a lot of high expectations, so the pressure was on us. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, we snuck up on a lot of people because people knew what was happening. The biggest disappointment, to be honest with you, was I believe it was 16 in the semifinals against, the eventual state champions. They beat us pretty good in the semifinals. I forget who beat us, but they kind of got on us and beat us by 4 or 5 touchdowns. We didn't play real well. Stratford.
You guys hung with them in the half, and to Stratford's credit, they moved up a class right after that.
They played well.
And they played well. They had a really good line. They had a good line. They had a solid team. So there was no shame.
There was no shame in that. I don't think we played as well as we could have. But that's the thing that motivated us for the next year. And going into 16 and 17, that was really kind of the rallying cry for those kids. They were motivated to get something done that hadn't been done since '01, and they got it done. So you got to give them a lot of credit.
Well, I'm personally am super glad that you got your ring, because certainly you deserved it our senior year, without a doubt. In my opinion, I mean, of course, I like to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't care. I'll drink it all day long. That's what the Ultimate Buck Pride page is about anyway. We're Kool-Aid drinkers right here. But I do remember going into the locker room before that game, and your motivational speech to the team I thought was awesome. And it's the first time I got to see you in that kind of capacity directly with your players. And I took that with me. I never told you that. But watching you tell those kids and get them motivated, I thought, man, you're an awesome coach. I mean, and I'm proud to have you as a friend. I'm proud that I got to play with you.
Well, we played tough together. We went through some hard times together, Scotty. You know what I mean? That's the part about coaching that I really respect and I enjoy. That you go through hard times and you suffer and ups and downs and things, and then when you got a chance, here's our chance to really kind of come up and represent what we really want to get done and what our goals, and accomplish what we've been working so hard for these 3 or 4 years. Those kids really had an idea of what we were trying to do. They represented the school, they represented the community, they represented the coaching staff, and so I mean it was just a pleasure to be around that group of kids. And it's very rarely that you get that group of kids and you fulfill your dreams, your goals, and everything, because that just doesn't happen all the time. No. You know what I mean? It's one of those deals where, and the expectations were so high, it really put a lot of pressure on us. So that wasn't one of my funner years as a coach. You know what I mean? And we had a lot of pressure on us, and I didn't want to disappoint the community. I didn't want to disappoint the fans. I didn't want to disappoint my dad and Coach D and all those coaches before us, because we had the talent to win it, and we got it done, and it was just a special moment for us. Yeah.
Well, talking about those years that you coached, a good coach in my mind, takes kids and prepares them for life in a way. Me personally, I mean, football did a lot for me, and the reason it did a lot for me is just as far as like becoming a man or being able to put your nose to the grindstone and take a ASS chewing and not be whining about it and sucking up. It reflects on your coach. And, of course, I had your dad as my coach. I had the great Steve Edwards as my coach. I had the great Danny Daniels as my coach. And all those guys had those characteristics, which you obviously have got as well. And that's reflected in your team. They carried your attitude, and I think that's awesome what you've done with them. I hate to see you go. It just breaks my heart. Yeah. But I am glad that you're getting back into coaching. And I definitely think that everybody from Harmon thinks it's fantastic. We're glad you got here.
It's kind of bittersweet. You know what I mean, Scotty? And I've got some kids that are upset with me. I've got a couple of kids that were going to be seniors. They're going into their senior year, that they don't understand quite what's going on and the things that you're going through. And I'll be honest with you, Coach Christian kind of lit a fire in my coaching tail a little bit, and I appreciate him for that. He's so gung-ho, and he's so straightforward about some things that need to happen.
He's smart, too.
He is a very smart young man, and that's what motivated me when I had a chance to get this job. It presented a new challenge for me. You know what I mean? And we've pretty much done everything under my command that we can do here. Yeah. And Caleb is a great young coach. To be honest with you, if I could steal him and take him to Ponca City with me, I would. You know what I mean? But he's committed to what we're doing here, or what they're doing here in Harmony, and it's just special for me to leave a place in such good condition, or a better shape than when I started. And now I'm going up, and I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Ponca City's got a lot. We've got some things we got to change. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some tough times up there, and I'm prepared for that. You know what I mean? I've been through tough times. I've been through 10-1 seasons as a player. I've been through tough seasons as a coach, and what inspires me is the challenge and the things that can happen when you get young men to commit to what you're doing and to jump in all with just everything they've got and commit to one goal. And I'm not saying we're going to win a state championship because that's probably not going to happen, but we can change the culture up there. We can make a difference. We can get to where it's a winning program. We can do the things that we need to do to make it more like a big Harmony. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be my goal in Ponca City is when I go to there is to when I get done and the old whistle, they pull the whistle off my neck for the final time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me to say, hey, we changed this. And Dad was there in 84 and 85, and he had a lot more talent than we've got. He had a lot of talent there, and they went to the semis and things of that nature. Those are goals of mine. I've got high expectations, and I know the people of Ponca City are wanting me to come in there and do some things, but it's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort, it's going to take some change, so I'm prepared for the down times, but I'm looking forward to the up times as well.
Right. Well, you know what? In my mind, I think, Harmony we owe Ponca City a little bit of something.
Right? When you got me, yeah.
That's right. So, it's about time we got a little payback.
We'll pay them back.
They're going to be in good hands.
You heard that, Ponca City, they're paying you back. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt, that changed my life, and it's, as you get older and stuff, there's one thing that I tell people all the time, and young people too, it's hard to appreciate what you got when you're young until you're older, and then you go, wow, And
what's that rock and roll song by Cinderella? You don't know what you got till it's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're talking about chicks.
Yeah, I'm an 80s hair band guy. You got all the hair. I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
well, let it flow, baby. Well, the more my wife tells me to cut it, the longer it gets.
Yeah, I have a ponytail for too long.
But talking about some of your playing days, and I didn't get to talk obviously with Coach D or Coach Ballard about this because I didn't have the pleasure of playing with those guys, but I did have the pleasure of playing with you. And he talks about how light he was, a little guy. Coach, you'd lay the wood. And I know that personally because I've gone straight up 5-on-5 with you. I know what your helmet feels like, and I ain't want nobody on that team afraid to hit somebody, especially you. And, your toughness really translated to our whole team. And that's not blowing smoke up here, but that's true, your dad's toughness, your toughness, you were a true leader. You're a really good leader of our team. We needed you. And it made my whole experience in high school a lot better.
And I had a lot of respect for you, Scotty, because, we were about the same size. We were about 165 pounds, and you played guard. You were always our pulling guard on our G scheme, and we used to run the Nebraska scheme, and Scott Yahtzee was always out there in front of me, and everybody knew what was coming. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we were trying to trick anybody.
No. Yeah, we had G-Sting and 32 Black, whatever. The playbook wasn't big, but we executed it well.
Yeah, and that's what I respect about these kids from Harmony, that they're selfless. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to take to Ponca City. That it's not about you. You know what I mean? You were never the big man on campus, but you were always the guy.
Oh, you're a big man on campus.
Now that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And you, behind the scenes, it didn't matter what was going on. You were as tough against Cleveland as you were against Barnesdall, as you were against Waurika, all those things. And then when you get later on in life and you think about, hey, when we look back about all those folks, here's a 165-pound guy that really, wasn't any bigger than I was at a quarterback, that was kind of leading the way on our offensive line. And we had some other guys, Flynn and Joseph and some of those guys, Mean Dean, and all those guys. I appreciate those guys, and I do anything for those guys. And that's what I want to convey to the kids I'm going to coach in Ponca City, is that, hey, you're not always going to be the star. You know what I mean? Everybody has a role.
That's right.
And play your role, do your role the best you can. And when you get older and you get to be in the workforce, because we're not all going to play football. You know what I mean? Very few of us go on to play football and do those things after high school. But football teaches you things that nothing else can teach you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm very appreciative for the people that I played high school football with, because they sacrificed for me. I hope they know I sacrificed for them, and I do anything for them today.
Well, talking about those days and how times have changed. But I remember playing Cleveland. Now, Cleveland back when we were seniors had a really good team. If I remember right, they at least went to semifinals with Jeff Fisher and Carl Clazier. I think that Brad Tilley was on that team.
Ben Rowe was
Ben Rowe.
Yes.
Yeah. And but you carried us on that team. And my goal, and Hunter will back this up. Coach Whisker backed up. My goal was like, you can be player of the week first week. That's when it counts. Because the other weeks are like, we're going to give it to you this week. The first week matters. And one of my points of pride with playing was you and I were co-players of the week that first game in Cleveland. But we would have never won that without you. And the way things have changed now, I remember watching you barf your guts up at halftime. Puking his guts up. Smelling salt, keep going. Yeah. And baby, you got it done. You got it done.
Well, and...
not saying that's the way things should be nowadays, but that's the way they were then.
Don't celebrate the things that were going on back then because I didn't use a lot of good judgment when I was in high school, and I try to preach that to my own son these days. But
my judgment was excellent.
I do remember.
If I'd had good judgment, I would have had as much fun.
Yeah,
Coach.
I do remember Coach D. Challenging us at halftime a little bit.
He did.
Yeah, and I didn't want to let Coach D down. You know what I mean? And I remember being after the game, kind of being exhausted and puking, and my mother coming over to me and say, "Hey, are you all right? Are you going to be okay?"
I'm fine.
And so those are good times, bad times. You make, you learn from your mistakes. You weren't in great shape. Of course, we were playing in early August in the heat.